I'm grateful to Craig Mostert for contacting me after my video blog last week or the week before. Craig has asked me to comment on the important issue of setting fees and specifically to how best to persuade clients of the value of your fees. Now that's a very big topic, but I'll do my best to make a comment or two which I hope might be of value over the next couple of minutes or so. I think the first thing to say is that the level of your fees is probably the single most important factor which will influence the profitability of your practice. So it's really important that you get the fee structure and the fee strategy right. Second most important thing to note is that the revenue which you generate from fees must cover all the costs of providing the services that you provide and generate a surplus, generate a margin, practice profit. So maybe the first thing to do is to ensure that you absolutely understand what the cost is of utilising all the resources that are available to you to provide the services that you provide for your clients. So you need to know for each vet, for each nurse, exactly how much it costs you, the practice, to employ each vet per minute per hour. What's the cost of employing a nurse per minute per hour? What's the cost of providing your consulting room per minute per hour? What is the appropriate share of the overhead costs, all the fixed costs, the support staff costs per minute per hour? When you have those details at hand, then you can begin to calculate an appropriate fee for a procedure. You can say, in this procedure, we're going to use the consulting room for half an hour. We're going to use the surgical suite for 2 hours. We want to employ 2.5 nurses for 2 hours. We want to employ a vet for 45 minutes. We want an appropriate share of the fixed costs for 2 hours. So then you can begin to calculate an overall fee. And then, of course, the important thing to do is to add a margin at 20% or whatever is the profit margin you're setting out to achieve. When you've got that information, then you can begin to tweak prices depending on other pressures. There may be some services that you render for which you will want to discount to keep in touch with what's going on in the marketplace locally. So these are the shop around fees. But if you do that, then you have to be sure that the amount you're discounting fees for those services is taken up and exceeded by the fees that you charge for other services. Now we come to the very big question of how you persuade clients of the value of your fees. My advice is to forget all about the clients. The most important thing is to persuade your practice employees that the fees you charge are appropriate, they represent value for money. Now that's an educational task. I'm a great believer in open book management in veterinary practice. I like to involve the team in understanding the commercial aspects as well as the clinical and medical aspects and service delivery aspects of veterinary practice. And I'm absolutely convinced that if every single member of your practice team is convinced that the fees that you charge are calculated in an appropriate business-like fashion and that they represent value for money for your clients, then you need have very few worries about the occasional client who will seek advice elsewhere specifically because of the fees you charge. Don't worry about them. Make sure that every member of the team is convinced that your practice represents value for money in a vibrant and busy marketplace. See you next time.